Hey, David, thank you very much. Again, we're in Omaha for that special shareholders meeting for Berkshire shareholders today. In fact, that meeting is getting ready to take place in just a few minutes. Over our shoulder, you can see the people who have been piling in. They're not expecting a ton of shareholders to show up here today, maybe a few hundred. And the meeting's outcome, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. In fact, Warren Buffett joked around with us this morning. He said he wouldn't have held this meeting if he didn't already have the votes. But there are some issues that will follow today's vote. Namely, there are people wondering whether this means that Berkshire Hathaway will make its way into the S&P 500 after that purchase of Burlington Northern. Remember, Burlington Northern is in the S&P 500, so that would open up a spot for it. And if the Class B shares are split 50-1, as is being put before the shareholders today, that would mean that the company has a lot more liquidity. Of course, that decision is up to Standard & Poor's. They'll be making the decision on that. But while we're here today, we had the chance to talk to Mr. Buffett about a lot of other news that's out there that's been swirling around concerning Berkshire. Namely, we talked to him about what's been going on with Kraft and its bid for Cadbury. This is the first time he's had a chance to comment on what he thinks about it. Berkshire Hathaway, as you probably know, is the largest shareholder for Kraft, 9.9% of the shares outstanding. Now, Kraft shareholders will not get the chance to vote on this deal for Cadbury, but he says if he had the opportunity to vote, he would vote no.
Irene has done a good job in operation. I like Irene. I mean, I find her, she's been straightforward with me. We just disagree. She thinks this is a good deal. I think it's a bad deal. I think she's a perfectly decent person. She could be a trustee under my will. I just don't want her making this particular deal.
That is some tough talk from a normally passive shareholder. And guess what? The tough talk doesn't stop there either. Buffett then went on to take on the government and this proposed tax on the banks. He said that he doesn't think this is a great proposal either. He talked a little bit about what's been happening there. He says he's just not a big fan of this proposal.
The banks are the ones that, particularly, I've just named a few. They've paid it back with huge interest. The government's made a lot of money on that. And to say that they should be paying for the fact that the government lost a lot or may lose a lot of money in Freddie and Fannie and perhaps with the auto companies, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, let's get back to shares of Kraft again. If you've been watching the action today, you see that stock is under pressure by better than 2.25%. That share's been trading down today after the comments coming from Buffett on this. Now, we asked Buffett what he would do. He doesn't like the deal, but as you heard, he still likes Irene Rosenfeld, likes what she's been doing as an operator there. He says he is not planning on selling his shares. But again, that stock is going to be under quite a bit of pressure today as its biggest shareholder, Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway, came out and said that he is not a fan of this deal, does not like things going ahead. He still thinks, though, that Kraft shares are undervalued. And, Aaron, we'll send it back over to you.
All right. Thanks so much to you, Becky.